Sex and Sensuality, the podcast, where we speak what your dirty mind thinks. We are here every Monday night at 9 p.m. chatting about tantalizing topics that most won't dare say aloud. Hello, and welcome to Sex and Sensuality, the podcast where we speak what your dirty mind thinks. We are here every Monday night at 9 p.m. just giving you the real when it comes to love, relationships, sex. We love it. And tonight we're continuing our conversation on May-December relationships, and we're talking about the pros of May-December relationships. And then I had a few more cons or things that I feel like people need to think about when they're entering into these relationships with older men or older women, and just how it can affect your life. But it doesn't necessarily have to be all bad, because we talked last week about how, or 2 weeks ago, about how Celine Dion, she had a great relationship with her husband and they had a huge age gap. So it can work. There's nothing wrong with them. Mm-hmm. So we're going to also talk about our juicy topic of the night. And then we got some political news about Kanye West, y'all. And so, hey, Gigi girl, I didn't even welcome you. So I'm Miss Mika Nicole, and then we have our Gigi. Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what, girl? I am doing okay. We have been dealing with, in our household, because y'all know this is flu season. Mm-hmm. And my daughter had a sinus infection last week. So that's why we didn't have a show last week. My wife, she ended up being sick last week. She's still sick this week now. So we are just trying to get over all these colds, and hopefully we're nearing the end of it. Thankfully, I have not been sick. I've been trying to stay clear.
Good.
And stay ahead of this thing, because being pregnant and sick is a whole nother animal. So actually about 2 months ago, I got sick from Dakota's cold. And when I tell y'all, it was, oh my goodness, it almost took me. It was just hard to even get out of bed some days. So as I said, this time I'm going to do my best. I'm going to take care of them, but I'm keeping these sheets clean. I am wearing my mask and whatever I need to do to keep myself from getting sick from them. And now my wife is sleeping in a separate room just to keep us from getting sick. I know it's been a mess. But anyway, how you been, girl? I done sit up here and aired out my whole laundry.
Well, you had to get it out. That's all.
Okay, I had to get it out, y'all. I just want y'all to know we ain't forgot about y'all last week. So just forgive us. Go ahead, girl.
I'm good. You know what? These storms, like you said, I suffer from migraines. So sometimes the storms will really attack me. And so the headaches will be bad, but the nausea that comes with it is just, and then I don't want to eat. And now people always like, you lost more weight. And I'm like, I actually have lost down 3 more pounds, because it's just, I just can't eat when these headaches, it's a bad season for me. That's all. It'll be back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, once we get through it's always the transition from summer to fall that makes, that people become the sickest, because you're not, it's like the weather is up and down. You have cold mornings, warm afternoons.
Yeah.
So once we get through this season, get through the first part of fall and deeper into it, things will start to level out. So
I hope so, honey.
I hope
for all of us.
I know, right? So we're going to go ahead and go into this Kanye West, girl. Talk to me. What is going on with him now? I just got to say this. I swear Kanye West is I love Kanye West, but I do think that he knows how to ruffle feathers, and he knows how to get you talking about him. And I think that's what he just does best. This is what he does.
Me and my daughter-in-law and my spouse got into it because the two of them love them some Kanye West. And granted, he was never just a big thing for me. I like some of his music, but he was never, my daughter-in-law actually wear them funny looking space shoes, Yeezys.
Oh my goodness.
And my spouse, she loves his music. So for me, hearing the things that he has said, that whole walking around with Candace Owen with the shirt, White Lives Matter, I was livid. And so they're sitting up here saying to me, oh, he's just being himself. And, he doesn't believe that. That's not how he meant it. I said, look, I had to tell both of them. Stop trying to make excuses about what you think people are saying and believe what they say. If that's not what you mean, then don't put it out your mouth. And I don't want excuses of you trying to decipher his meaning behind something he didn't know. That's not how we go through life. You need to believe the things that people say. And that's just it. So for me, I don't know. I get that he has some mental illness. So that part I understand. And I also feel like he's being used in ways by media, by those around him because of his mental illness. But you still have to take accountability for the things that you do. Okay. So like you said, he likes the attention. And the thing is, it's dangerous because he can reach millions. Right. So.
And he does reach millions.
Yes. And the fact that the things that he says, this thing that he said about George Floyd, now the family want to sue him. And you should have learned when we think about,
what did he say, girl? You got to tell people because everybody don't read that stuff.
Okay. So let me let y'all know what he said. Okay. So the Kanye. What did the Kanye say? Kanye and George Floyd. So he said that George Floyd died of fentanyl, that he did not really have a knee, a foot, or anything on his neck. Now, why he would say that, I do not know. Again, it's like one day after the next, he's just spouting out stuff out his face and all through with his fingers and just... It's not right at all because these are families' lives that are being affected by the things that you say. George Floyd's death, we all know, was murder, right? These people, these cops are in jail for what they did to him. So this is not something to laugh about. It's not, and for you to try to change the narrative of some drug overdose thing, no, that is not fact. It is not. So.
And there was some fentanyl found in his system, but the coroner did rule his death as asphyxiation due to the knee to his neck. So I'm not sure why he said it, but from what I was reading, he was saying that he felt like the cops gave him fentanyl, and that is what killed him. And so I don't know. Kanye is, again, I feel like he's a walking political something. And he enjoys this controversy, it seems. But to me, he has always been a genius in his music. And I do think that in some ways he has some type of message, but I just don't know if it's always understood and or executed properly.
Right.
In some of his messages. So we're going to move on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That Kanye West, honey. Okay. So
that Kanye.
That Kanye West, honey. So moving on, I wanted us to talk about the juicy topic of the day because it relates to May December relationships. So this woman, she wrote in on BuzzFeed for an advice line. And she says, this is what she says, y'all. She says, hey, so me and my boyfriend have been together for a little over 6 months and living together for 1 month. Before we got together, I regularly saw, first, let me take this back. Because I think 6 months, you have only been together for 6 months. I think that's too soon to be living together. I think it's too soon to live together because 6 months is when you really that's really when you're starting to get a little bit comfortable in your relationship. You're learning who this individual is. You are now, their true personality is starting to come out. And now you get a chance to really make a choice on what you want to do moving forward. But then again, that's not my life. Somebody else's life. But I think 6 months is really quick to live with somebody.
Honey, You know, the lesbians move in after the second date.
Girl, I know. And I think that's crazy. I even with Chase and I, we dated for we were friends for a year. Then we dated for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved in.
You did it the way that
I try to advise my clients to do it. Okay. So it says, before we got together, I regularly saw sugar daddies, and they were my primary source of income while I attend graduate school. When we started dating, he asked me to stop seeing them. I did not, and he caught one sending money to me. I told him it won't happen again. I've moved to another state and started a new job to be with him, and it's awesome. I found out that my job pays pretty poorly, especially compared to what I was making before. First off,
girl,
let me start over again. Let me stop myself again. How did you not know what your job was paying before you moved to this new state to take the job?
Right.
I'm not taking the job.
Girl, when I read that, I was thinking, what?
Knowing that I'm not making what I was making. So I started seeing sugar daddies again. I make roughly an extra $800 a week, and I can afford to do things together and equally split things without worrying. He has a good job and makes about $2,000 more a month than me. I don't see sugaring as a fun time. And I think of it as work. I always use protection, would never put him at risk. Do you think he would ever understand if I told him? That is something else. She didn't write this to me, y'all. She wrote this to Stephen at BuzzFeed.
Okay. But so, Miss Mika, what would your response be if you was answering this?
Well, my response is this. I feel like, again, you all know that I'm very sex positive. So I feel like it's your body. Do what you want to with it, as long as you're protecting yourself and as long as you're not putting yourself in dangerous situations, right? So if you're protecting yourself, doing all of that, and this is what you want to do, that's your life. There's nothing, I can't speak on that. But as far as you're in a relationship with someone else, you're being dishonest. Dishonesty is a form of cheating.
Yeah.
And you can't build a healthy foundation with your partner if you're going to continue to lie about sleeping with other people. And even no matter how safe we are, we still know there is a chance condoms break.
Yes.
The only foolproof way of not getting an STD is no sex at all.
That's right.
Or if y'all are really taking the time to go and be tested together and all that, I'm sure you're not doing all that. So for me, I think that she needs to come clean, that she's still doing this, and then allow him to make a choice on if he wants to remain in that relationship with someone who sleeps with other people. Now, he doesn't have the right to tell you not to. This is your body. You're in control of your own body, but he has a right to say if this is something he's willing to put up with or not.
And I'm in agreement with everything you just said. When I read this, I was thinking, okay, this is what you want to do, Rue, that's on you. But you're taking away the same way you had a choice and you decided to make it, you're taking that away from him. Because you're saying, okay, well, I'm doing me and I'm doing me with him. Well, when does he get a choice? When does he get to speak up for his choices and then have any input into what you're doing, since you guys are saying you're a couple? Once you decided to move in together, you should have told him before that, because now you done took it to a whole...
Well, she stopped. She just started again after she moved in with him.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. When she decided to move back, when she moved wherever, well, she said they moved out of the state, she moved somewhere else and decided.
When she started doing it again after she realized in their new place that she was not making the money that she was hoping to make.
She should have told him when she's decided that she was going to start over.
I agree.
Period. Because he could have made a decision. I don't even understand. What? Didn't she say she's in grad school? So you're telling me you can't make enough money to subsidize that $800 that you're saying you're making with
$800 a week,
with the education you have up
but she's
to the graduate. I'm trying to understand now.
So she's making an extra $3,200 a month, and she's still in grad school. So
Okay.
she hasn't gotten that master's degree yet. So in her head,
Go
what I'm
do
hearing,
Uber, Lyft, DoorDash.
I mean, she can definitely do other things. Yeah, she can
You
do
want to
other
be in that
things. She ain't
relationship.
finna make no $800 a week though, doing those other things. And that is what it's about. I think we get caught up in the fast, quick money,
Money. Yes.
large amount. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
making large amounts of money quickly.
Yeah.
And that is what's going on in this particular situation. She's like, I'm making this $800 a week. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not stopping sugaring, as she calls it.
Sugaring.
Oh goodness. And it's just prostitution. You know, when you
Definitely
really
is.
that's what it is. It's prostitution.
That's it. That's it. She could
Oh
put some
Lord.
sugar on that, all she wants. It's still the same thing.
It is still the same thing.
Oh.
It's really just prostituting in a oh goodness. So anyway, let's go on. So we're going to talk about the pros of mating summer relationships. So we have some of them include less drama. I agree with that to a certain extent, but they were saying less drama is because a lot of times these people the older person has already gone through life issues, right? So they've already been struggling. They've already, established their life. So they have, for the most part, most of them have established their life. They have the finances together. They have a house. They have a car. They're good.
Mhm.
And you're just kind of coming in, and now you don't have to worry about the financial stress that you have with somebody you're just starting out with in your 20s or sometimes in your 30s, and building that life with that person. You just kind of come into somebody who's already got their shit together, basically.
Yeah. Yes,
Um,
that's true.
and then they add a level of maturity.
Mhm.
So they're not dealing with a lot of BS, which I think makes sense.
I think to me, maybe that's the best part of that. If they have truly matured, because we already know age does not mean maturity, right? So
It's just not mean maturity. You're right.
if truly matured in themselves, then yes, that would be the best part of that, because they would be able to give you different aspects of things and be able to, I guess, I don't want to say teach you, but you would hope in any relationship that somebody is teaching you something, bringing something into your life as you are bringing into theirs, right? So that they would be able to bring a whole different aspect because they have lived longer, experienced more, and all of their maturity and the people that they have around them can be feeding into you those. So now you could be like a older soul in some way, like you had mentioned, gaining all of these different facets of life in different, I don't know, different areas, right?
Yeah.
And the years that you're gaining, because their friends would be older. So now you're not only getting, their friends could be older.
That's true. And it makes me think about this. You and I have a May December friendship.
Yes. Yes.
We do. And I have learned we have different experiences that contributes to this friendship that helps it work.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from you. You learned some things from me. So you're right that maturity and the experience that the older person can bring to your life can make a really big difference.
Yeah. You call me old now.
I ain't call you old, girl. I said May December. That don't mean you old. May December is not about being old. May December is about having a significant age difference. That's more than 5 years, so 5 years, okay, that's nothing. But if it's a little bit, it's over 5 years, then it's like, okay, you got a little bit more life experience than that younger
and you have
person does.
you have different life experience. So I love listening to the things you did in college and the people that you so yes, you're right.
And then you even think about, like, not in our case, I'm just saying in general, when you think about May December relationships, the decade differences.
Yes.
How, because Y'all both have probably went to college, but that person went to
Mhm.
college, in the 90s, you went to college in the mid
2000.
2000s or something. And it's just a whole different experience. Things have
Yes.
changed, so it's just, yeah, a maturity makes a difference. Okay.
Mhm.
So the next one is less self-absorption. Basically, these people, they know that love is more about, it's not just about what's on the outside. It's
Mhm.
about what's on the inside. Two, they're less likely to worry about like the superficial things, and they want to cherish what's on the inside. They're not worried about, well, you got a big booty, you got big breasts, you got, they're not worried about all that. They're like, okay, I don't seen big booty, big titties before all my life. That's not what I'm into right now. I'm into somebody who can give me good
So,
conversation, who understands me, who listens to me, who
mhm.
cares about my feelings, who shows me empathy. They're looking for what's on the inside.
Yeah. They're looking for substance, something that's more
Substance
comfortable than all of that aesthetic stuff that they know eventually will
will
dissipate,
go
right?
away. Right, exactly. Because it does go away. Now, there
Yeah.
are some people I do feel that try to reclaim their youth
Through
and
you.
reclaim the things that they could not do in their
Mhm.
younger days by dating someone younger. So it's like, I'm going to live through you. I'm going to live vicariously through you. And
Mhm.
that's somebody we know that's not being mature, right? That's not emotionally mature enough to meet your emotional needs. So we don't want to deal with those types of people. It's not about, oh, I'm 50 and, I'm going to date a 25-year-old just so I can feel validated again. No,
Mhm.
no games. Someone who's established in life, normally they're less likely to date around and they're looking for something more stable. They're not trying to like, oh, I'm just dating this girl, that girl. I'm having sex with this person. I'm having sex with this man. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. No, they're really looking to be settled down again, or again, or for the first time if they just haven't had a chance because they've been working or whatever. So they
Mhm.
normally don't waste a lot of time. It's like, yeah, we date, we get to know each other, and you know what? Now we're ready to move forward with something. I'm not trying to just date around with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, I was right now. I was thinking as you're saying that because the older ones are in a different space and place in their lives. Well, yes, the December. And but what about the younger? Like I was just thinking, they want that too, but I wonder, are they more susceptible to because they haven't experienced these things? Are they more susceptible to being leered out of the relationship? Because I've watched in some movies where you see a couple together in that aspect and he is faithful and he's excited about the relationship and going forward with it, and then it's the other one that the young one that actually is the one that steps out. So you would think that that might not happen. Sometimes it could still happen.
This is what I think happened in those particular situations. I think there is a way to be a person that's not about games and wants stability, but still know how to have fun, still know how to go out, still know how
Mhm.
to enjoy their lives. It doesn't mean because I'm 50 or 55 or 60 or whatever that I don't know how to have a good time, or
Right.
I don't want to have a good time. There are some women out here who still, and then their 50s and 60s, love to go dancing. They will go to a lounge or a club or to a nice spot. So it's just about changing. You may not want to go to the club with 20-year-olds, but you may have to go to a club where it's like a middle ground between the two of you. And it may
Right.
be like a loungy type of place where you can still hear good music, but you can still sit down if you want to. You don't have to stay up on your feet all night dancing and partying. And you don't have to worry about people smoking and drinking, like
Yeah.
smoking weed in the club and, doing all the stuff that some of the younger club environments do. So it's a way, it doesn't mean just because they're mature, they're more stable, doesn't mean that they can't have fun. It's
Right.
just, and that's some of the things too. If you're dating someone, period, whether that person your age, older, younger, whatever, you have to make sure y'all got things in common. If
Mm.
you know that you're a person that likes to go out and party and have a good time, you may not want to date a person that you know is a homebody, whether they are
Right.
older and a homebody or younger and a homebody or your
That's right.
age and a homebody. You got to make sure you're finding somebody that is fitting the things that you like to do too. But then also we got to learn too, when do we sit the hell down? Because a lot of times,
You know what? Because I think people think if I'm not still moving, then I'm gonna die. Like it's okay to just sit what they call Netflix and chill, right? It's okay.
yes, or it's okay to go, instead of going to the club, to go bowling, to go
Yeah.
to the park and bike ride, or you could still do fun things without having to go to the club to do fun things. That's not
Mm,
the only way to have fun. There's so many other ways out here to have fun with your lover, whether they old, younger, the same age, or whatever. And some people just want to just be out on the scene. And it's like a lot of times being on the scene is because you're on the scene because you are looking for somebody.
right.
When you
Hmm.
found somebody, sit your butt down a little bit and try to change your perspective. It's like, okay, we can go on trips and have fun. Let's go to the resort and party at the resort and party in
Hmm.
another country. That's different,
Right.
doing something different than the usual. Okay, the next one is confidence. A lot of times, older people are just more confident. They're confident in who they are. They're confident in what they bring to the table. They're confident in what they need relationship wise. They're not
Hmm.
trying to figure anything out anymore. They aren't worried about what they can and can't do. They know what they can and can't do. And they normally have already accepted that. And it's like either you gonna take it or you leave it, boo.
Yep. It is what it is. This is
It
what you
is
get.
what it is.
This is what you get. Yeah, because
Mhm.
they be still trying to figure themselves out. Again, that all goes with growing up, maturity, and time, right? And then once you get a little older, the biggest thing for me is I always feel like it's like I don't care anymore. And
Mhm.
so then that's maybe that attitude of not caring what other people think and what other people's imagined vision of you and what your life should be is not important because at this point you realize that it's about what makes you happy. But
Yeah.
maybe the other ones is just trying to figure, they're still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to figure out who they are and be okay with that.
Mhm. I
That's
agree.
key. Being okay with that part.
Being okay. We talked about finances earlier. A lot of the times, okay, if you're older, a lot of the times you're more financially stable because you've figured it out. Like we're in our
Mhm.
20s and 30s, we don't know a lot of the times. Our 20s, early 30s. So we haven't figured out finances like that. But
Right.
by the time you about 40, 45, you should know something now. You shouldn't be making crazy financial choices at that point. Even though I know some people do. But I'm saying you should be more financially mature the older you become. So a lot of
Mhm.
the times finances are a pro. Honesty. You know what? This reminds me of how they say the little old ladies, they just gonna tell you the truth because they don't care anymore. It's like I ain't
You
even
don't
trying to
care.
lie. Just like
That's
right,
it.
don't even care. This is the truth. This is my truth. This is it. Take it, leave it.
That's it.
And then also, that being honest is really what's going to help build a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Lying is just not worth it at this point.
It's so not.
Travel. I know we talked
Ooh.
about travel because
Mhm.
a lot of people that are older, a lot of times they don't work as much or maybe they nearing retirement, or they understood the value of the importance of taking time
Time.
off and enjoying life. And I
Time.
can tell that's something with me. I'm near 40. And for me, I've learned that, okay, I got to take off sometimes. But when I was younger, I would sit there and work myself like a damn dog for these folks. And I'm like, why am I doing this for these people?
Mhm.
As I became older, I'm like, no, it's okay to take my PTO, honey. It's okay for me to get out of town. It's okay for me to travel and do some
Mhm.
things. And that's what I love to do. I love to travel.
I just said to Georgie a little while ago, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting that Mexico itch. I'm ready to go." I'm like, I need to go see me some beautiful sun, and that's right. Like, oh, ready to go.
Girl, yes,
Like
I
that when I
can't
was
wait
younger.
to travel after this baby, honey, because we're gonna be gone, honey.
I know that's right.
Like, the baby just had to come on with us. The babies, they gotta
Mhm.
come with us traveling.
Nope.
I don't mind bringing them. Come on, let's go. We're gonna all have a
Let's
good
go.
time.
Let's go.
Less jealousy. because of they're a lot more emotionally mature. Now, I'm going to say this works in both ways. I think it could be less or more because some people allow age to make them jealous because they become insecure.
Yeah, insecure.
Well, am I too old for her? Am I too young for him? Or am I too old for him? Is he looking at all these other women out here with tighter bodies,
Yeah,
breasts lifted or whatever, booty, whatever, and it can become an issue. So
definitely.
I think it could go both ways. Some people, again, it comes from the confidence. So they feel more confident in who they are. They're more secure in who they are. So they have less jealousy. But I think people who are insecure in their looks and who they are and what they're bringing to the table as an older person, they can allow the jealousy to take over a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Or they could be the other way. I don't care.
Or it could be the other way. I don't care, right? Because even in my relationships now, and I listen to people talk about things like, well, he likes girls' pictures on Instagram that are naked, or he does this and he watches porn and stuff like that. And I'm like, I
Why do
don't care
people gotta
about stuff like that.
right? Why do people gotta clock that stuff? Like I really don't. I don't
I
care.
don't care about stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm sure Chase sees some girls on Instagram that look cute and she like them and she probably go looking through their pictures and stuff. I don't care. I look at stuff too sometimes. If I see something cute or handsome or whatever,
Mhm.
sometimes I even look at the men because they be looking good too. So, but I don't see that as something threatening to my relationship. And then I always tell people, my wife owns a barbershop. They at the barbershop all the time. I'm sure there are plenty of fine women that come in there
Mhm.
with their
Yeah.
kids. Cause honey, I know how I would do if I had once I have a little boy and I have to go to the barbershop, I'm gonna dress up and look cute. I'm not walking in front of a bunch of men not looking cute. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bringing
Yeah.
my that's just
Mhm.
me. So I'm sure there's a lot of women that come in. There are a lot of women that come in that barbershop that look cute and bring their child, and then or they walk past the barbershop and because it's hair salons over, it's all kinds of things over there. So I know she's looking. You so funny. I know she looks, and they probably have talks about it. I don't give a damn. I don't care.
No. Because
I'm
I always
confident in who
feel
I am.
yeah,
But I
people
also
gonna do what
know
they want.
that people gonna do what they want, but also I know that there are other attractive people in this world. I'm not the only attractive person,
Right.
you know. Oh goodness. And I know she has eyes. She's gonna acknowledge they're gonna have conversations. That's what they do at barbershops.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like we
Yeah.
have to not allow those little things to affect us to this degree. Now, if they out there, DMing these people on Instagram
Now that's a
or
whole
getting
different story.
numbers, or
Mhm.
and getting numbers when they come into these barbershops, then yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But if it's just looking and commenting, chat, please go
Mhm.
on. Don't bother me none.
I
What you was gonna say?
was gonna say just what you said when you say you go to the bar shop looking cute.
Oh, girl, yeah. I ain't finna walk in front of no man. I ain't finna walk in front of no crowd of anybody
Looking crazy. I
looking
know.
crazy.
No.
So
Yeah.
I know what these women
What
do
they
because
do.
I'm a woman too.
Exactly. Especially those single mamas up there bring their sons at trouble. Now please.
Mhm.
Be cute, girl. Be cute.
Right. Okay, so I think those are some of the things that I wanted to share about positive things that come from maybe similar relationships. And then last week we talked a lot about some of the negative things. One things that I feel like some of the other five things that we didn't get a chance to kind of go over is we talked about it being a universally quote unquote unacceptable thing because people
Mm,
always talking about oh, you a cougar or you this and
yeah.
you that. They talk negatively about it, but also family acceptance. That's a big one,
Yes.
especially if the person you're dating has kids and their kids are your age or close to
Girl.
your age.
Let me tell you something.
Oh, tell me, girl.
So I guess I can see this because I remember when my mother was dating this guy. I must have been like, maybe I was about 15, 16, about, and I think he was 19 years old. All I kept thinking was, what in the
Yeah, that may have been too young. See, that's the one thing I said. If I'm dating somebody young, I don't want them to be close to my child's age because then it just opens the door for stuff.
that's like that. Yeah, right. No. For me, I was young, and so I'm looking at him, and all I kept thinking was, this is he just a little older than me? He's a young boy, and I didn't. I'm like, well, what is this supposed to be? I had no none at all. Now, as for me, only time I dated someone that was younger, but he was only about 3 years younger, not that big of a difference. But he didn't have any children, and I had mine. Even then, that kind of felt a little different to me because you're
Mhm.
used to a guy that you're dating being older, more mature. Not to say he wasn't mature, he was for his age, but he was still, the experiences were different. You know,
Mhm.
I had already finished high school and doing other things, and he still had to answer to his mom and daddy back at home. So, because he was I think he was in his last year of high school. Like, oh my gosh. So yeah, and it depends. That's another thing. It depends on when that could happen. Right here, you have somebody that's out of school, you're in
Yeah,
college, and they're still in high school. Yeah.
you're right about that. It could be a huge difference, but when it comes to the kid being close or kids being close to that person's age, you got to think about discipline. That's
Mm,
not, they're gonna be like, "How you trying to discipline me?" Or "How you gonna try to tell
right.
me what I can and can't do?" Like you, my age, it's hard to be for them to have respect for that
Yeah.
person and to accept that person as an authoritative figure. So I think you definitely have to be careful about that. The other thing is too, what if you want kids? Let's say you're the woman, you're dating an older man. He has raised his kids and he's already raised his kids. His kids are adults. He ain't trying to have kids again, but you want kids. So that could be a really big deal breaker. And that comes with all relationships, but especially these made in summer relationships, because a lot of times they're not willing to start over and they're kind of firm on that.
You know what? You just saying that just remind me of a show that I watch.
Mhm.
And it was on that show that it was a couple and they're, what is the name of that couple? They go there to the lady, she has the curly red hair and she's a counselor, and they go and they stay the weekend with the family. Couples, dang, I can't think of the
Oh,
name of
is it family therapy?
it.
It's like a family therapy type of show that comes on.
Family or fiance. Family
Oh,
or
yes. Okay, yeah, yeah. I like that show.
So on Family and Fiance, it's exactly the story. He and the guy was like 50, and I mean his son was about her age, his children, and she was like in her late 20s, maybe late
Mhm.
20s, and they met. He's a chef, and they loved each other. They were there with the families, supposed to be saying, we're going to get married. And, they're coming there to convince the families that they're going to get married.
Mhm.
But by the end of the show, well, after sitting down with the counselor and talking with their family, because their family's concern was valid. His family wanted to know, they knew, you want more children. I mean, you want a child because you've never had one, but he has all his kids.
Mhm.
He doesn't want any kids. And she was like, no, he will because it's me. In her mind, she kept feeling like she was going to be able to convince him. And they sat there, and one time she was like, well, you said when we first got together that you would consider. He said, yes, I said consider. Did not mean I was going to, because it was at the beginning of them dating. And then she thought, well, when you asked me to marry you, I thought that was you saying, okay, you were going to have a baby. He's like, how did you get that from that? So it's all in her perception of
That's
this.
why communication is so important.
Yes, in her perception of him moving forward with her, she's still thinking, well, that means he wants to have a baby. That was not what that meant. It meant, I love you, I want to be with you. Did not mean that. And at the end, they end up going their own separate ways because he realized at that moment, as much as he loved her, was in something that I don't know, if it was something the therapist said or someone his other son said, Dad, you're at a point in your life where you want to travel now. Your restaurant is successful. The kids were all grown. Is that what you want to do? And he really had to think, as much as he loved this woman, he was not going to have a child. And she would resent him ultimately. And if she got pregnant on sneak tip, he would resent her. Right.
And then it may not have even been a sneak tip. It could have just been because the condom broke and they had a reckless night, and now she's pregnant. So then now you got to deal with that. He probably needs to get with a woman who has already had a hysterectomy, who doesn't want kids or whatever, and who's adamant about not wanting kids just as much as he doesn't want kids. And they are protecting themselves in every way possible to not have a child.
Her family asked him, they were like, well, why are you feeling this adamant? I don't understand. Just have the baby. And it's going to make y'all happy. And he said, for me, I'm not that father. I am involved in my children's life. I'm not just going to make a baby with her and then go run in the restaurant and travel because I'm trying to open them in other countries. That's not who I am. So I don't want to do that. And that's what I knew and felt what was coming from him. So when he said it out of his mouth, I got it. He's like, I am 100% father in this relationship and raising my child. Now, if I was that other guy, like, here, I'm had a baby, you haven't, I could do, then that would have been fine with her.
Because he's the type of person that is like, he wants to be involved. He don't want to have to. He doesn't want to have to worry about balancing work and balancing the child.
Exactly.
He's not at that point anymore. And I think that's awesome that he was able to do that and walk away. But you know what I find happens is that women will tend to lower their expectations and their desires just to be with somebody in hopes that person's mind is going to change, or in hopes to just keep the person. And it's like, sometimes the other person has to be the bigger person and say, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that to yourself. And I'm glad he was able to do that for her.
He did. They cried, and it was a really great episode, but it was amazing to see them be able to walk away and say they loved each other and wanted each other to be happy at the end, because she didn't want it, but he said, I can't do this to you. And it was really, so that's one of the biggest things I could see happening between maybe.
Also illness. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Illness is a really, really big thing. And not to say that it can't work, because it can work. But when you're dating somebody older, you have the risk of Alzheimer's, dementia. Those things come with age sometimes, because those things kind of runs in, in families. So that's something to think about, or other long-term illnesses that may come up. And I know it could be the other way too.
Yeah, it could be.
The younger person can get an illness that's long-term too. However, we already know that the older we get, the more susceptible we are towards illnesses. And that can be a big challenge to face, different health challenges that come up due to age. Sexual issues.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be age that do sexual issues, but we do know that sometimes the older we get, the less energy we have sexually. And then you have to deal with what is impotence?
Impotence.
Yeah, girl, I used to pronounce that word so crazy. That's why I always have to say it consciously. But anyway, those are just some things I just kind of wanted to throw out there. Not to say that these relationships cannot work, because we talked about the pros and we talked about the cons, but they can work. It's just you want to also be aware of what those cons are so that you can communicate effectively and work through those things. And if you're really loving each other and really trying to build a healthy relationship with each other, seek counseling if that's the case. So I hope y'all enjoyed this topic. So next week, I really want us to dive deep into health, because I'm on a board, and one of the boards that I'm on, like a chat board, one of the boards I'm on, they talk about, like, I think one girl was like, she had sexual partners in the past, and she had this and she had that, whatever. And so people always say, like, well, you're not obligated to disclose your sexual history to a man or to a woman. You're not
Oh,
obligated to do that.
mm,
I think we should talk about that. I think we should because I'm not gonna say that we're obligated to talk about how many people we've slept with. Because I tell women, honey, keep that number at 5. If it's anything over 5, just stick with 5. You do not want to be
if
telling
it's 55, just say 5.
just say 5, Chad. Just take 50 off and say 5. You know, if
Yeah,
it's 100, say 5. You just stick to 5 is the magical number. They don't need to know all that. Now, but as far as sexual health, abortions, miscarriages, infertility, things like that, are those things that we should share in our next relationship?
Mhm.
I want us to talk about it. I think,
That would be good.
mhm.
Yeah,
Girl, text it to me so I'll make sure I don't forget it.
I got you, boo. I got you, boo.
How much of our past sexual activities, sexual health should we be sharing in our current or future relationships? I think that's what I want to talk about. I think that's going to be
Okay,
a very good topic. And yeah,
sounds good.
all righty. So I thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope y'all got something out of this 2-part episode regarding May and December relationships. Tune in next week as we talk about what we just said. Me and this pregnancy brain, y'all, it's
She got
crazy.
forgive her, y'all. Forgive her. It's just a few more months.
Just a few moments, but y'all don't go always be authentic and always be real. So, but we're going to talk about sexual health and sexual activities, past sexual health, past sexual activities. What are those things that we should talk about and shouldn't talk about in our current or future relationships? All right. I can't wait to have that discussion with y'all. I hope y'all have a great night and thank y'all for joining Sex and Sensuality, the podcast where we speak what your dirty mind thinks. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us on another